Good evening everyone, welcome back to Current Racing League for round number 4 of the Mexican GP here, and it is just me tonight, and Bunny will not be here, so he'll be joining next week, and the 18-minute qualifying session, a 36 lap race, and hopefully it'll be a good one like it was at the French GP. This track introduced since 1963 and returned in 2015, and it's been on the calendar ever since, and I think it'll be extended as well across the years go by. But we've got some action now onto the track with people coming out of the garages then. So I think the Haas has just popped out of his garage, and we'll have a look to see who that is, as he's followed by his teammate too, as we come out of the pit lane then to see what time drivers could set. I think you want to be setting about 14, 15, I think, somewhere along those lines. And we can see the Hasses then as we head down into turn 1. I remember Bosch Evans having a decent start to the Hungarian Grand Prix. He didn't have a good qualifying, but relatively speaking, he had a decent race. I think he went from the normal strategy from mediums to hards, and he ended up finishing 5th place despite a bunch of soft runners coming at him. So he's had some strong races, but in terms of racing, he hasn't really, well, in terms of qualifying, hasn't been running up there, but in racing he's got some decent race pace, so let's see what he could do. And Nathan says a 50.4 he reckons, and a full dry race, so that's good. We had a wet race I think at tier 3, and that provided some good racing. We had overtakes everywhere in the circuit too, despite being in a wet race, so yeah, we've had some good battles along the season. This track is alright for racing. It is a low grip surface, high altitude, 2,200 meters above sea level. I did get that wrong, that fact wrong back at tier 3. It said 2.2 miles for some reason. I don't even know why I said that, but as we see both Hasses there make their way to the stadium section, and they're going to prepare their lap times and see what lap times they can do then. At 50.4, we'll see how close we can get as Bosch Evans do turn 16 there. Didn't get a decent run, but we see him cross the line there to start a flying lap with his teammate right behind him too, who takes a shorter line as we head down this long straight. Pole position is not really the best place to start around here in Mexico as we head down into turn 1. Braking before the 100-meter board, hitting the inside curb there in turn 1 and in turn 2 and turn 3. Very difficult corners indeed, but gets a decent exit out of them without any wheel spin, using all the track on the left hand side as we head down into turn number 4 now. Braking zone, 100-meter board, and into this left-hander we go then. Tight middle sector here as we see Bosch Evans negotiate really well. It can be quite difficult in traction as well as he misses turn number 6 there on the entry, but a bit deep and a bit too hot there as we head down into this ZRS's like, well not ZRS's but the yes section like, as we flick our way left right, flat out corners through here, and takes a bit too much curb. Unfortunately invalidates as a result then, so he'll be not completing that lap time, but let's see if he crosses the line to get a reference point. This is always good to get a reference to the bankers at this early stage. We head into the stadium section. That left-hander can be quite difficult, and the back of the car wanted to step out because the tyres are getting very hot at this stage as well as we make our way towards the line for the first lap time of a 16.4. So we're second off predicted pole, and we've got a Red Bull I think behind us about to complete a lap as Pyro has retired in the pit lane on board with the wrong Red Bull. That is Leo. They're not quite sure what car I was seeing in the background there as we flick our way into this right left-hander we go, and let's see what middle sector this is going to be for Leo. I think he's making his first appearance here, is the Italian driver. I want to apologise if you hear any background noise. It's not ideal, but Smalley Balls goes quickest with a 15.7 by 3/10 ahead of Reservoir. Here comes Leo to cross the line and puts his car into P3 ahead of LT Cross Liam then. So 15.7 as a banker for Smalley Balls is amazing. I'm having some problems in the background, not in terms of technical difficulties, just in general in the background, so please apologise if you hear any type of noise in the background. It is unfortunate, but yeah, it's not ideal either for my sake. But we've got Steve coming towards the penultimate corner, and now the final corner. Bompy goes P3. Here comes Steve across the line. He goes a 50.7 and about 6 thousandths quicker than Smalley Balls in P2 as Kenny is on the medium compound tyres with a decent time of a 16.3 on those mediums. So he could be saving a set of softs, maybe utilise them later on in the race just in case there is a late safety car. And dual beam into P4 about 7 thousandths quicker than Bob Pierre, who's currently in P5. Talk about Bob Pierre, there he is right in front of us as he's about to give his a tow to his teammate then. And as we head down into turn 4, Bob Pierre will swoop to the left, give Nathan a nice run going into turn number 4 here. This left-hander, another tight right-hander we go. It stays in third gear. They just use the throttle very gently there to minimise the wheel spin and brake traction. Decent exit out of there. As we head down into turn 8, into this left-hander we go. Let's see how it takes. You don't want to take too much curve through here, just a little bit, otherwise the back of the car will step out. As we flick our way left and right, once again, DRS enabled for this third DRS zone. It's going to be a 56.7 as we head down then into turn number 12. This can be very difficult, including the race as well, because you're coming in hot you're coming very hot with a lot of speed on maintaining. As Leroy goes into P3 there, that didn't make sense what I was saying. So in the race, you're coming in very quickly as heavy fuel. Nathan goes into P4, a heavy car with a lot of fuel on board. There is the other Leo, currently down in P19 then, so not to get confused. This used to be ILT Leo, the Romanian driver. The other Leo is currently, is Italian I must say. Here he is, they're coming towards the line. It's going to be a 15.8. Where's that put him? Oh, it's a validator. That's why he didn't catapult the order. Better say that lap time would put him into P4. So we still get about 7 drivers who haven't set a lap time just yet, including Sweet Crown, last week's race winner, and well, not actually no, it was Pease who was last week's race winner. And is Pease here tonight? Let's have a look. Yeah, he is. Apologies about that, Pease. My eyesight is terrible. You know what? Why do I wear my glasses? Well, I've got them in front of me. Yep, I'm wearing them right now. So we're going on board with Chazza in the McLaren then. He was one of those drivers who stayed out there on all the tyres, and unfortunately for him, he fell down the order along with his teammate Kenny. 3 of them stayed out on all the tyres, and they fell down the order outside the top 10 unfortunately. But here he is in the McLaren going towards into turn number 4, and let's see what the first sector is for him. It's a 28.5. Chazza has raced around Mexico before. I think it was a few weeks ago, as me and him are in the same league as each other. Here he is, they're coming through the middle sector. DRS for the third part as 10 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. IRTC is currently on pole position like he was at the Hungarian Grand Prix. So he's on a good form so far. I see catapulted from tier 3 to tier 1 last season. And looking to try and get some more wins under his belt after scoring 2. But Chazza's lose out the final corner or penultimate corner like Bottas did back in 2019, and unfortunately has gone for a spin. I'm not quite sure how loud it is for you guys to hear, but if you do hear any swearing in the background, it's not from me. Oh, okay. Right, I don't know what the Aston Martin was doing there. Who was that Aston Martin? Who is it? I can't actually find who it was. Smalley Boars. So there it is then. Just caught a qualifying crash, and Bosch Evans was on a flying lap. Smalley Boars to get out of the way as he makes his way towards the final corner to start another lap time. That could be a penalty headed towards his way for the next race. Right, hopefully that should be sorted. Apologies about that. I didn't want any of you to hear what was going on in the background, and everything should be okay for the time being. So I'm on board with Jorbu then. Interesting qualifying sessions. I want to know how Leo retired in P19. Not quite sure what happened to him, but the other Leo is in P2 with a 15.6. Three drivers with a 15.6, three of them with a 15.7. So that's incredible close margins as Jorbu has gone almost 2 tenths quicker in the middle sector. So let's see where he could pop that AlphaTauri. I didn't want to stay on mute for too long, otherwise I don't want to just find this boring. But here we are, coming towards the penultimate corner now. This is very easy to spin out, and as he makes his way towards the line, it's going to be a 15.7. So that's 5 margins there. Look at that, almost 4 tenths improvement on his previous best. I did get told some of you heard it in the background, so I Are you
this
in?
week.
Are you in the actual session, mate? Say again, sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to join. Hopefully the audio is good on stream. So, join again. So, can you?
Compound tyres and one of them on the softs then, so that's going to be an interesting strategy approach for Tobe. And I think Kenny has saved a set of softs in his disposal as well, if I remember correctly. And currently in P9 is the finishman, so good result. And let's see if we can convert that into the race. Leo for IRT, newly joined member, is currently in P5, so he's doing a great job so far, is the Italian driver. And the other Leo, who's not in IRT anymore, currently down in last place with 19 drivers on the grid. So let's see if it's going to be an interesting race. And yeah, apologies about this, Steven. I'll try and find you now.
Yeah, no worries. I'll turn on crossplay and help out with comms. That's fine.
At least I got everybody. I've got everybody, but there, I found you. I found you.
There you go. Ah, cheers.
It's going to be an interesting. Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm in the session now, so sorry for the lame jump here, but I'll join with comms today. So if Jamie does mute, I'm there to help with commentary for this week only. I've got some spare time. I am quite ill, however, so if I do sound a bit, how do you say it? If my nose sounds a bit full, then that might be the reason for it, but it's all good. So all the cars are now lining up with Leroy being disqualified. Probably misses the yellow line there, which he's used to missing lines, but you know.
I think Jules being the same thing. I think he started a pole position last week and Leroy started a P2 and Leroy got him into turn 1 before turn 1. So let's see if that's the case again, and we'll see if Reservoir gets a decent line off the start too. He might get swamped into turn 1, who knows. Nathan's there. Will he make another minute? Will he make more contact into turn 1 like he did the first GP? But here we are with 5, 6 lights. Or 5, sorry, don't know why I said 6. Off we go for the Mexican Grand Prix. I can see AlphaTauri in the background gets a decent start. He puts himself in the middle of a few cars, and we head down into the long straight. I think Reservoir is quite safe, you know. I don't think Leroy and Nathan could be a threat unless they're late to the brakes. So we head down into turn 1 then. Let's see what's going to happen down here. Any chaos so far? Looks like they're keeping it all unscathed and very cleanly. And Reservoir got a decent start despite being a slipstream provider. I think dual beams around the outside of Sieb with Bompio versus AJ for company 2. As we head down into turn 4, I can see an AlphaTauri going around the outside. That's a Red Bull, sorry. AlphaTauri around the outside of Sieb, and there's two different groups having their own battles here, and I think the dual beam beats Sieb to it, and Leo has been overtaken by Smalley Boards, or he tried to go for a move but couldn't quite pay it off. AJ's ahead of Sweet Crown. Sweet Crown didn't have a good qualifying by his standards, but hopefully he can come back strong in the race. Maybe not one of his best races here in Mexico, because it proved to be last season as well, or the season before. Look at that, he's under pressure from Pease. Did he get a good run out of there? Here we are, into turn 12 we go, and I think Sweet Crown will have this covered, having the inside line. Unless he goes deep, Pease will do a switchback, and he'll try and go around the outside. Into the stadium section we go. Let's see, a bit of contact there, as expected in this tight, twisty section. But for the time being, Sweet Crown remains in P10. Also, Slides coming at the final corner too. But Reservoir got what he needed, up into P1 ahead of Leroy, who looks like he's under pressure from Nathan in P3.
Exactly, right there. Good start from Ollie right there in P1. So far it's creating a bit of a gap to Leroy behind. The main aim for Ollie there is to make sure he doesn't pick up any penalties, because last couple of weeks he's really been struggling in terms of keeping it clean, in terms of warnings. But so that should be his main aim. But being in the lead will certainly help with that calls right there. Everyone in the top 12 on the hard tires. Taupe is like on a set of soft tires, which you probably already mentioned, Jamie. So he's going to be looking forward to making up as many positions as he can currently. But overall, it's been a clean start to this Grand Prix.
Yeah, it has. I expected some contact into the first 3 quarters, but looks like they all got unscathed, and Pyro currently in 19th place, then still unfortunately in last on those medium compound tyres, and I think he had a qualifying ban too. Leo's made up 2 places from started in the last place. Bosch Evans up into P15, Eero Strange on those mediums in P14. We can look at the most gained and most lost. The top 5 remain as they are, and I thought Reservoir might get jumped by Leroy and Nathan like I mentioned earlier on, but it's not proven to be the case, as DRS will be enabled not on this straight, on the next one, because the detection point is before the final corner, so therefore it'll be on the next straight. Chazza is currently in the pit lane. It looks like Pease is all over the back of Walter's gearbox as we head down into turn 1, but too far back to make a lunge unfortunately for him, so we have to maintain P11. But Taupe looks like he's putting pressure on Kenny, puts himself up into P12. He's on the hards versus softs, so the softs should come out as expected, but I'm surprised he's gone for the soft compound tyre this early in the race then. So let's see if it pays him any dividends later in this race, and it will probably be a definite 2-stop strategy for him. What is the best way to go around here? Because I had a race around here in Mexico a few weeks ago, and I did the 1 stop from hards to mediums, but that didn't work because my tyres were just dead, unless it was just a bad setup or just couldn't find the pace really on any sort of tyres, because they were just dead and standing around.
Mexico is a very difficult circuit to get right. You can try the 2-stop strategy here, but the pit lane is more than 21 seconds long, so you're gonna have to be very confident on your pace to make up all that difference right there. The middle stint is gonna be very important if you do try 2-stop, because the cars that are on the hard tires are probably gonna try to extend this stint until like lap 19 to 20, and then go to the end on the mediums here. But if you someone like Taupe pit after like 9 laps, and then push like mad on a set of mediums, and then go on for another set of softs, then who knows what can happen to this race. So we should really just focus on his progress throughout this race. He seems to be knowing what he is doing, so certainly. Just want to point out very good management of the ERS so far by Nathan. Every car I've seen so far is around a 30 to 20% ERS, and Nathan's managed to save up until 80% ERS, so that's been a very good job there by the Williams driver, who's in a comfortable position right now. It does help that he had the realistic league a couple of weeks ago around Mexico, so that certainly adds data, but same for Leroy. So Nathan is in a very good position here, and same for Evan right here in P4. He's saving his ERS nicely and just slotting in behind the Williams, the Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes driver.
Yep, it's going to be a DRS train from here and in then, and Nathan, like you said, good ERS management could pay him dividends later on towards the race, and Leroy currently in P2 as well. He's used a lot of ERS there, so trying to get close towards Reservoir, but if Nathan can keep that going for the majority of this race, then we'll see how much he'll gain. But Dual Beam rides the back of Leo, who's got DRS to the back of Smalley Balls, and Bompierre, who overtakes Sieb. Dual Beam up to P5, Leo into P6, and we see Bompierre then, and Sweet Cloud is overtaking Sieb as well, so Sieb's lost 2 places there on the straight. Just a sitting duck unfortunately, and the 2 ahead of him have got through, and AJ lost 2 positions on the last lap as well, because he had a massive moment coming out of the final corner, had a massive slide, and unfortunately had to give way to the guys behind him of Pease and Walter, and Sweet Cloud made his way through, and AJ and Pease continued to fight in turn 1 and turn 2, but AJ had to give way, and unfortunately he's down in P11. Chazza and Pyro have made an early pit stop in this race. They're currently squabbling for 18th place, unfortunately, but every single point matters. So let's see. Oh, Leroy there almost have a bit of a moment coming out of there into turn number 11, I think that is, or turn number 9. Get confused with his corner. It was actually turn 10, sorry. So not too far away, but he actually exceeds track limits then coming out of turn 12. 2 more chances. This track is brutal for penalties as well, so you be very careful to minimise as much as you can with those mistakes. Otherwise, those penalties could cost you towards the end. And with a safety car chance of rate like this being very high, you can't afford any penalties later on. But Nathan is all over the back of him. He fancies a move on Leroy. He could get Reservoir if he wants to, but I think he'll just sit behind and wait, or maybe go for it into turn 1. Yes, he will. So he'll take 2 for 1, and that will become the race lead unless Reservoir fights back, which he does around the outside, and they go side by side. But Reservoir having the edge, he'll take P1 away again. But Nathan gets a exit with the DRS, of course. So will he try and go for it into turn 4, use the battery to his advantage, puts his Williams into P1 and ahead of Reservoir just by this time, and he finds himself in the lead of this race, then ahead of Reservoir and Leroy as they both clatter over the curb at the exit of turn 4. Chance to set the fastest lap of the race too. Can Sweet Crown get the DRS of Leo, because that DRS was split up down to P7, and I think C was the one who dropped out of it. But with Sweet Cloud and Bompier able to capitalise on, use that DRS to call their way back in, he's just outside of it. Leroy really struggling at the exit of turn 11, now allowing his Smalley balls to be all over the back of him. Scotsman versus Irishman as we head down into turn 12, but obviously not enough room to make to go side by side either. You don't want to go side by side and lose the DRS and lose too much time towards your rivals, so it's just best to sit back and wait. And Leo gets a 3-second time penalty there for exceeded track limits, unfortunately, so he becomes the first driver who picks it up. I was actually looking at the other Leo, so there's 2 of them. I keep forgetting that, but imagine Leo versus Leo battle. Oof.
That's going to be exciting to see where Leo gets past the other Leo, but so far there's no issue with that, as the first Leo in the Red Bull is in P6 slotting behind. Also, we've got a spinner here. We've got a Reservoir spinning out from the lead right there, or in second place. He's not lost his front wing there at least, so he can turn around, but that will lose him a heap of time there. Now all the way down in P17, so pretty much at the back now, so not sure what happened there. Jamie, can you update me on that?
Yeah, I caught it, and he just tapped the back of Nathan and spun the car, unfortunately. So Reservoir in a great position as Kenny and Tope go side by side. Kenny trying to regain P11 after being a takeaway from Tope. I think Tope's tyres are starting to drop off now, and the hard compound tyres will be better than the softs at this stage, and he puts his car up into P11. That sounds a bit mental, saying 7-lap-old softs are dead, but in this game they do fade away very quickly. It's more like a qualifying tyre, or probably a sprint race tyre if there's a safety car towards the end of a Grand Prix. But now Reservoir's out of the equation. That puts Smalley Balls in a great position there in P3. Then Tote's been off the track, and Strange has forced his way through. We can see in Alpine and Haas going side by side. Tope stays ahead of Bosch Evans. The other Haas is ahead of Leo, puts his Haas into P15, but sliding out the exit as they continue the battle. But Smalley Balls all over the back of Leroy. Then here we go, and he overtakes him for P2, then ahead, or just ahead, but they both have DRS then, so it could be a drag race. Who's later the brakes? It is Smalley Balls as he puts that Aston Martin into P2. Smalley Balls last season showing some great glimpses of pace. I think back at the Spanish Grand Prix I remember him doing a great job. I think something happened to him in Spain. Not quite sure if he made contact or spun with somebody. That could have been the case, but he's showed some promising pace. Sweet Clown has been overtaken by Peas as he dabs that oh no, because Sweet Clown stays around the outside, just trying to figure out who was going to be late on the brakes. They both were, but Sweet Clown letting go of the brake pedal to try and get ahead of Peas. Now they go wheel to wheel in turn 7, heading into turn number 8, and Walter for the time being is just ahead of Peas there as those two continue their squabble then for P8. And it looks like Sweet Cloud is really struggling here in the mid-speed section. Maybe probably running a low downforce setup because he's quite handy in the straights, but in the corners looks like the car is a bit stiff and not responding. As you can see, P's all over the back of him, but nowhere to make a move. Into turn number 12 we go. So far it's turned out to be an interesting race with the top 5 in the battle, and P6 downwards in their own scraps as well.
Surprisingly, Wouter's been struggling this race, not really keeping up with the car's head. Usually when he is like 1.4 seconds behind the car ahead, he'd usually catch up, but he's losing quite a lot of time right there, as we've got Tope pitting now from the soft tires. I did say lap 9, even then he barely made lap 9, the end of lap 9, so it's gonna be interesting to see what tire he goes on. But Wouter really struggling off pace here, and Siep also not really catching up to the top 5 here, as that gap is now 2.8 seconds here, so with all the time they're battling, they're losing a lot more time to the leaders here, who are just using each other along to catch up to the leader, or catch up, I don't even know what I'm saying, just pull away from the cars behind, and yeah, trying to extend that gap here to go maybe even on our alternative strategy here, if that gap keeps extending here. If you go to Tobe now, he has gone on set of hard tires, so he is going to have to stretch those tires another 28 laps here, as Boompi is now the second driver to pick up a 3-second penalty here, so not as many as expected. As Mexico is a very difficult circuit in terms of track limits. I did notice myself on Monday here driving in tier 3, but these drivers are a lot better than myself. So, but even then, it's a very difficult circuit to get right.
Yeah, very difficult, low grip surface, and yeah, just very difficult in general. Here comes Nathan on Smalley balls, and here he is, overtakes Ewan for P1 once again. In the background there's Leroy versus Jewel Beam. Jewel Beam was disqualified from the French GP after he overtook the safety car, so what could it have been for Jewel Beam if that never happened? And probably in contention for a podium / win. He picked up a podium back at the Hungarian Grand Prix, fighting with ILTC, and he's been a handy driver as Jewel Beam. He's a promising driver, but unfortunately mistakes have been made along the way, and you can see he's pushing Leroy in the corner. Ooh. And there's, oh, what's going on here? I can see people dropping down.
Siep and Boompi right there. Siep was ahead of Boompi here, and now both drivers make contact with each other here, and that sent Siep all the way down to P16 and Boompi down to P9 here. Not sure P8 now, but I'm not sure if he's got any damage. But yeah, both drivers making contact with each other. Earlier in the week they also make contact with each other here, so it's not ideal. Boompi doesn't have damage here, but it's far from great for their progress here. As drivers now going 3 wide here, nearly going into the final sector here with Alfa Romeo and the McLaren there of AJ Wuhan and Kenny. AJ Wuhan managed to rejoin ahead now, but yeah, both Siep and Boompi making contact with each other now. It looks like Siep broke a little bit too early here, or I'm sorry, Boompi just broke a little bit too late and hitting the back of the Ferrari here, so that must be frustrating for both of them, but still a long race to go here to catch up.
It is indeed, and we've got Peas ahead of Sweet Clown into turn 1. Those two having a great battle, and they've been left alone now, Peas and Sweet Clown, after that contact with Boompi and Siep, and now AJ in P8 there under pressure from Boompi. I don't think Boompi has DRS, as he was overtaken into turn 1, and AJ will be able to stay ahead with the second DRS zone. There's only one detection point for 2 DRS zones around here, so you get it right with overtaking as well. Lap 11 out of 36 then, and no pit stops being made yet for the hard compound tyres yet in this race. And Nacho says, hello mate, how are you doing? I'm good, thank you. And the Williams looks like they'll be fighting for P10 majority of this race, I mean overall, because in tier 3 both Williams are scrapping for P10 with Bunnies and Nacho, and this time Boompi is in P9. Looks like he's struggling too for good measure. There's one Williams up into P2, which is currently CRO Nathan fighting for the lead of this Grand Prix, trying to go for his first win of the season. Last win was at the Brazilian Grand Prix last season when he overtook, I think, this is going to bring back some thoughts and memories. I can't remember who it was. Yeah, I actually can't remember who it was. It was a newcomer, but he hasn't signed up, or unless he got placed in a different tier. Here comes Nathan on Smalley balls again, and he puts himself into P1. So those two we traded DRS. However, Leo in the Red Bull, talk about Red Bulls, Sweet Cloud overtakes P's, and Leo is outside the DRS range of them both, but he actually gets himself sided because he's actually outside of it on the straight. But before the detection point, he was just in it then, so that's very crucial to stick with the DRS because it's very hard. Look at this scrap going on here in the midfield. Mercedes and LP make contact, and that was Strange and Leo. Here comes, it was making it 3 wide one time. There's Kenny up the inside on Boompi and AJ. Into turn 3 we go right now, or turn 4, sorry, as Boompi squeezes AJ. They're both in IRT, and it not happy. I think Steven won't be happy, but I've actually got to find out who that driver was now, because it's getting on my nerves, because it's an obvious name, but there's a lot of names I've got to remember, including the different leagues as well. So let me go back to that, and I won't be surprised.
Yeah, you go and you search up whoever the driver was that one who's not in this lobby here, but let me quickly correct you, because Jacob isn't in IoT anymore, but
I knew that.
We're technically teammates still, because we're both in Alfa Romeo for Cone, so I'll be supporting both Bompje and AJ no matter what, so yeah, both drivers are really battling hard, and Kenny taking advantage of it, nearly putting a second clear already, so hopefully he can close that gap to Peace and Wouter, who are also trading positions here with the limited ERS they have. They both have 6% ERS, so yeah, far from ideal here, and they're 4 seconds behind the lead pack here of Nathan, Smolly Balls, Joel Bream, Leroy and Leo, who's managed to catch up again to the DRS window, so maybe a slight mistake there in Sector 3, but has got enough pace to catch up once again, so hopefully he can now save some ERS and then maybe try an undercut here as we're nearing the stage of the pit stop window, as we're now on lap 13 nearing lap 14.
And it was AMS Renz. It was him. I knew it could be an obvious name, and he almost won his first Grand Prix after making his third appearance as Resify picks up a 3-second time penalty, currently down at P14. So after that spin, hasn't really made any gains so far like I thought it would be. So hopefully that hasn't affected him, and can try and get his way back to the field. Safety cars could happen as well. We've not had one virtual or a safety car just yet, and we're on lap 14 out of 36 then, with Smalley Balls in the lead right now. Good job he said that, because actually he made a mistake. I thought it was Smolly Balls in the lead, but he's just got a bit of P1 now ahead of Nathan and Jewel Beams in P3, with Sweet Crown and P swapping into turn 1 once again. Oh, look at this, 3 wide into turn 1 here with the Alfa Romeo sliding to the corner, and the Alpine had to back out of it too. Leo's gained a lot of positions recently. Into P11 he goes. He started P19 after a suspected crash, I think. I don't think he had a qualifying ban, and he's currently in P11 for the time being, fighting out with the likes of Kenny, who's been in the wars today, and AJ, Leo, Strange in P12 on those medium compound tyres. Probably not looking good so far at this stage of the Grand Prix on those medium tyres, so he might be having to make a pit stop very shortly, but it looks like the battle then for the race win will be between the top 5. I don't think P6 and P7 Ps of Sweet Crown can catch up, because the gap keeps increasing between himself and his teammate then, so those two are left to scrap it out. And we used to see Sweet Crown not dominated, but being out in the lead quite a lot, but this time around in Mexico looks like he's plainly struggling then on pace, because ever since he joined Cone, he's always been on fine form and always been up there at the top no matter what. Even when he's made mistakes or made contact with anybody, he's always managed to find his way back up to the top. And here we are then as we head down into turn 1. Nathan will not take the lead, but he had to use a bit of ERS to stay ahead of Jewel Beam, so he's being pressured from behind, and had maybe forced to overtake him, but just had enough distance to keep the AlphaTauri at bay for the time being. And Nathan, I don't know if he was wobbling out the corner or not at turn 2, as Peas and Sweet Crown overtake once again as we head down into turn number 4, with IRT Leroy start to drop out the 1 second range of DRS. I have noticed he started to struggle a bit on those hard compound tyres. He's got Leo Aries all over the back of him, the Italian driver behind the Italian team of Alfa Romeo, and further back in the background we can see Peas and Sweet Crown emerging to our screens, currently 4.5 seconds back, and they'll constantly lose time because they don't have DRS towards this top train then. So the top 5 left to decide it out, with the midfield squabbling out from P13, which we can score points. But as they make their way towards the stadium section, a lot of moves have been here made in the past. Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen, I think I remember one of them, and I think Max Verstappen as ILT Leroy picks up a 3-second time penalty. Max Verstappen, I think, got a puncture by going down the inside of Valtteri Bottas, just hitting the inside tyre, and unfortunately getting that puncture, and he wasn't out, but definitely did not help him whatsoever, as Hamilton won their race back in 2019. Nathan will come through on Smalley Balls as he puts himself up into P1 once again, so those two just trading positions there. Jewel Beam will be frustrated knowing that these guys keep leapfrogging each other to try and stay ahead, and here comes Kenny and Bompier once again. Strange has dropped down the order into P14. I wonder if that was a double overtake there from ILT cross Liam and Resify, his teammate. So Resify down in P13. We didn't see him hit the wall. I don't think the tap was sufficient enough to cause Resify any damage or light damage. It was just a rear lock spin, unfortunately for him, as he broke too late into turn 1, which cost him in the end in P13, and he stuck there for the time being. I thought to be chopping his way through the field. Tyres shouldn't be too bad, maybe overheated a bit and cooled him down, but hopefully he can try and find his way up the order once again, as he's got remarkable pace. But ever since that spin, looks like he's just dropped away. And talk about dropping away, ILT Leroy has dropped away for the 1 second DRS range as Eero Strange picks up a 3 second time for the saw him wobble out the corner at the exit of turn 11, and unfortunately, Resify off the track there. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him. He's just outbroke himself, and yeah, it doesn't look like it's going well for Resify whatsoever.
Lee has indeed lost DRS to the car's head. He is on a controller, so the controller usually creates more tire wear. As we have got a VSC now, as Liam has retired in the pits, he also picked up a 5-second penalty, so he was nearby Resify, so maybe both cars made contact here. I'm not too sure about that one, but anyway, he's retired, so that's one less.
I know what it is.
Go on.
It's Tony. He lost it out of turn 8, which caused the VSC, then cost Liam just retired in the pit lane. I don't know why.
Okay, well, that's gonna be no points there for Liam. Of course, only the top 12 score points here in Cone, so it's gonna. So shame for him. He was around the top 10, and with others picking up penalties, he could have been within the top 10 still. But this maybe we could bring out some other strategy here. Do drivers decide to go for the undercut here if the virtual safety car is out long enough? I don't think it will be, but anyway, that could trigger some other cars to make a pit stop now, as I think the windows ending in 3, 2, 1. As we got a spin here, Nathan spun on the virtual safety car here. He lost the car after it went to green flags again, and Leo has picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. So this really spices up this race now and promotes Peace and Wouter up to 4th and 5th now provisionally.
Wow, costly mistake there for Nathan, and he's going to drop him all the way down towards the back of the field then. Not mistakes he needs to be making whatsoever in terms of the championship as well, as he's had mighty pace throughout the whole season. Back in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as well, with Wouter finished in P3 behind Peace. A multi-car battle going on for turn 1 between Bompier, Leo and Kenny. Oh, we've got 4 cars getting involved now, with AJ trying to go around the outside, can't do it, and Kenny there trying to go around the outside of Bompier or the inside line, but he couldn't do it either as we head down into turn 4. AJ gets a decent run on Kenny as we head down now into the braking zone we go. They remain side by side, but let's see who edges each other out. We saw Fernando Alonso great defending against Lewis Hamilton back in 2017 in his McLaren Honda, which was just a piece of garbage. But we've got AJ side by side again with Kenny, as Kenny gets better traction as AJ just wobbled out the corner unfortunately and has to stay behind the finishman, and is currently in P9. May have exceeded track limits as well for good measure, but in P16, that is very crucial for Nathan there, because he's got such mighty pace trying to beat Wouter in the championship. This time round he's got much better pace than Wouter all race long, and in the pit lane comes Smalley Balls and ILT Leroy. So they decided at the halfway point on lap 18 these hard compound tyres are done, and it's time for the medium compound tyres to go towards the end.
That's quite an early stop, to be fair. I know I predicted lap 19 to lap 20 here, but I think that's quite an early stop here, especially if you're not going to have DRS here. The undercut will be quite effective here, but at the end of the race those medium tires will be horrendous. And drivers like Peace and Wouter can now use DRS train each other to hopefully close that gap to Joel Bream here, who will have no DRS and legit no ERS. So that's going to be interesting to see how they're gonna play this strategy right here. They're gonna be around Nathan here, who also was boxed for the mediums, is about 10 seconds behind Leroy, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how long they play out. Are other cars gonna play it out longer and have fresh tires at the end, or are gonna drivers respond to the undercut by Smalley Balls and Leroy?
Smalley Ball's currently stuck behind. Leo has now disposed of him as well, and he goes up into P9. So, Leo Aries, what happened to him during this virtual city car restart? I swear he was in the top 5. What happened to him?
Drive-through.
Oh, yeah. I get you. I knew he had a penalty, but I didn't realise it was a drive-through, so I'm with you now. I should have paid more attention, and he's just disposed him. He goes up into P9. Dual Beam is in the pits then, so we go for just responding towards the undercut threat as Smalley Balls look like he struggled coming out of turn 15 as we head through the final corner. Will Smalley Balls? I think he will definitely undercut on a brand new set of mediums against old Hards. P's right again with Walter. Those two been squabbling all night long. Smalley Balls up into P6 with Dual Beam. Might be attacked by a whole bunch of cars, including Bosch Evans, IRT Leroy, and Tope as well. He's fighting with Leroy. That's his race. Leroy not able to get into turn 1 ahead of Bosch Evans like he would have wanted, and he rejoins then just ahead of Dual Beams on 1 lap fresher tyres, which could be crucial. I know I said 1 lap fresher. You may think that's nothing, but it is in terms of something on this game. Probably not in real life, but on the game module it's much different, and so it might help him later on in this race. As you can see, Leroy trying to find a way past of the Haas of Bosch Evans. It could be is a useful roadblock in some occasions. Pyro has unfortunately retired in the pit lane. Yeah, Bosch Evans back in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We saw about 5-6 abreast down in Abu Dhabi going into turn number 6 at the heavy braking zone with loads of cars on his tail. That was an incredible race, but Mr. BT commentated over that, and eventually some drivers spun in the end as IRT Leroy then still on the back of that Haas. But this is great for Smalley Balls because this roadblock is allowing him to pull away, break DRS towards Leroy Dual Beam, and it's officially broken DRS for the first time in this race. So it's all going Smalley Ball's way, but I've got to mention, in qualifying, we might have to wait for Leroy to get past as he does, and here comes Dual Beam then, so we go 3 abreast with Bosch Evans defenceless, the other two wheel to wheel on the same strategy, side by side, as we have our race into turn 1. In the background we can see some more cars exiting the pit lane. Here we are into turn 2 with Leroy on the inside, but Dual Beam on the inside too. IRT Leroy just hanging in there, but unfortunately couldn't hold in there much longer, and he has to stay behind the AlphaTauri for the time being. He's fighting for a net P3 in this race, and it's very important for him to stay with this battle as well. Also got a 3-second time penalty, so we wishing that there'd be no safety car towards the end, otherwise it could hinder his chances of a podium. And Sweet Khan in PS7 ahead of P's then for a brand new set of medium compound tyres. AJ getting ahead of Reservoir, who's also a brand new set of mediums, hopefully change his wing if he did have damage. They're going side by side, and Reservoir makes his way up the inside into turn 6 and turn 7 ahead of the Alfa Romeo.
Indeed. There's the famous phrase back again. Had to say it.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Yeah, I had to save it up for the perfect time, you know. Anyway, I was going to mention how Tobas made really good progress there. Of course, having pitted on lap 8, starting on lap 9 here. He's now all the way in P6 here, but all the cars behind are on fresh medium soils. He has to do another 14 laps on these 13 lap old hard tires. So he's gonna be cooked in a couple of laps time, because Wouter, Peace, Boompje, Kenny, Strange, Resify, AJ are all starting to catch up to him now. If he can hold on, that will be a mightily impressive performance here, because yeah, he's not going for the best strategy here, but if he can hold on, then it will be a very good performance.
Yeah, indeed, and in Nathan versus AJ, now Steve's coming through as well. Here he is as Bosch Evans gets 3-second time penalty. Actually, Steve just outdrags them both and is ahead of Nathan and AJ. So while Nathan and AJ were fighting with each other, Steve just went past them both without any problems, and left Nathan and AJ to continue their fight as he moves himself up into P13. It's a shame for Nathan there, just optimistic. I'm not quite sure if it's his fault or not, because I didn't quite see. I was looking down at the time when the virtual safety car ended, so I need to keep myself on the screen at all times. But Juby once again in the back of IRT Leroy. This might come back at him towards later on in the championship. Leo's in the pit lane, as that explains why he's dropped out of the lead. Leo's on a decent stint. He started last, up to P2 for the time being, but he's on the medium compound tyres. Let's see how many positions he can gain on a brand new set of mediums. 13 lap mediums will be good towards the end, and he'll have a lot of catching up to do. And I think he could do it with dual beam ahead of ILT Leroy for the time being then, and Sweet Crown ahead of Peas, who's Alpha Tally in the background. And to get ahead, they actually leapfrog Taupe as well, 2 for 1. Bompier gets ahead of Kenny again for the fourth or fifth time in this race. They've been squabbling quite a lot this race. Kenny and Bompier with Sieb, Nathan and AJ, and Leo in P14 then on a brand new set of the medium compound tyres. So let's see what he could do from here on in towards the end of the race. First target is Nathan. Oh, we've got a battle going on. Sweet Cloud spun. Has he? Yes, he has. He's spun. He's rejoined down in P9.
I'm not sure what happened there, but the Red Bull has lost a couple of positions, but undoubtedly will catch up within the battle with Peace, Taupe and Bumpy right here, as Taupe is losing a heap of positions here. And Kenny, interestingly, has closed all the way up to the DRS battle here. He was 2.5 seconds behind before the pit stop window here, so good pace off from Kenny, and doesn't have any penalties, so he could be almost for an P5, P6 finish here, as he's trying to get around Taupe right there. Does successfully around the outside into sector 3 here, but Wouter not really having good pace here. Seems to be struggling quite a bit, as we see Peace now going into the pits. Not sure what happened to him. He just pitted, I'm pretty sure, so he's gonna lose. Yes, he's got broken front wing, so must have made contact there with Wouter, hence why the spin of the Red Bull here. So yeah, Peace now all the way up the back here, P17, and Wouter's now all the way up back again up to P5 here, but maybe a report's coming in after the race.
Great double overtake by Wouter. He's just got ahead of Peas and Kenny as we head down into turn 4. And Bompier up the inside. That was a late move there from Bompier, but he managed to make it work and stick with Kenny trying to go around the outside too. Sweet Cloud is back in his DRS train as he was alone with Peas for a while. And I think the reason why Peas may have got front wing damage because of Wouter, but I think Taupe was involved. He could have been a slow moving car, an obstacle in the way on older tyres, because people on newer tyres will ultimately carry more speed in the corners, so therefore, and brake later too with the grip they have. So I think Taupe could have been involved too, as he was in that battle. Reservoir is ahead of Taupe. Talk about him, who's dropped to P9. Strange goes off the track at the exit of turn number 12, and he's under pressure from Sieb and Leo behind. So this is a great fight in the midfield here with a lot of scraps going on. There's been one virtual, but no safety cars during this race, and this safety car could help Posh Evans in P4 going for a long stint on those hard compound tyres there, pitting quite early in comparison to others. Leo is ahead of Sieb, and here we are for the battle for P5. Sweet Clan back up into P5 despite that spin, so great recovery drive, but the battle for P1's way too far away. Next battle for him is 5.4 miles away, or seconds away, 4 miles away. That's a long way away. He's currently fighting with Posh Evans. He's on older hard compound tyres, so let's see if he catches him quite quickly. And Strange overtakes Leo going into turn 4. No, Leo stays around the outside. Leo starting in P19, cut his way through the field up into P9. The Mercedes are Strange trying to go back down the inside, but he can't quite do it. Leo on a great display of form so far in this race. Look at the Ferrari going around the outside toe. That was Sieb, and he made that stick too. Knew that Taupe was on all the tyres. AJ once again trying to fight with the Alfa Romeo AlphaTauri. You can see the difference in speed and tyre grip that he has on the AlphaTauris. They have DRS, but I presume AJ will finish ahead into 12th place but before they get to the corner, which they do. And Nathan in the background will be looking to make his way through as well. So the people who spun earlier, like Reservoir, Nathan, not really clawing their way up to the field like I thought they'd be with the ultimate pace they had, but that's the problem when you're stuck in another DRS train. It's just hard to overtake or pull away from anybody. And here we are then on the straight with Kenny, Reservoir, Leo, who's just further down. Bompier is the DRS provider with Sweet Clan ahead of us. Here comes Reservoir up into P7. He goes into turn 1 ahead of Kenny. Does he make it stick though? Because Kenny will fire back underneath him if he can, but he can't quite do so. Has to bail out to avoid any contact being made. And Reservoir then is up into P7 ahead of Kenny. So that top 5 battle we saw early in this race in the first stint has dissipated. It's gone now due to people pitting later in different times and different circumstances, and unfortunately people picking up drive-through penalties and damage as well, such as Nathan and Leo Aries there too, who's coming down to P15. What could it be for those two with that scrap for P1? Leroy is still hanging to the back of Jewelbeam, but he's currently 9.5 seconds ahead. So in terms of a podium, it's quite safe. But the worst thing that could happen for Leroy is a potential safety car in this race too, because they'll bunch up the whole field and he will have to try and pull away as well if he can, and it's not going to be a much of a it's not going to have much of a time either to do that if a late safety car comes out like lap 33 or lap 34 to pull out a 3-second gap. So he best hope a safety car don't come out, it stays like this, and the best he could have is P3.
Despite that, he still has very strong pace, despite being under control here. He's managing to maintain within the DRS window of Jewelbeam right there, and he's pulling away from Bosch Evans right here, who isn't even losing that much time compared to the Williams and the Red Bull behind. He's only losing like 2 to 3 tenths per lap, so maybe Bosch Evans can hold on until the end here, but drivers without penalties will definitely benefit from that. Drivers like Wouter, Kenny, Teep and AJ will definitely gain numerous positions right here if they all bunch up right here. Of course, Leroy is too far away from those cars without penalties, but you never know what's going to happen with less than 10 laps to go now. And yeah, very exciting Grand Prix so far. Seeing some great overtaking as well, which wasn't to be expected, as we see Leroy picking up another penalty. Hopefully that doesn't haunt him later on in the race, but yeah, we've seen some great racing here.
Who did you say picked up another penalty?
Lee just picked up another 3-second penalty. I think I saw. Oh, never mind. Never mind. I was wrong for me. I think, yeah, he still got 3 seconds. Never mind. Apologies for that.
It's all good, mate. It's all good. Then Bompier has actually caught Bosch Evans as well, and this was a scenario that Bosch Evans had as well back at the Hungarian Grand Prix, where people were chasing him down on the soft compound tyres and he was on the hards, and he's in the same scenario again. He's up into P4. Bompier didn't catch him towards the end of the Grand Prix despite being on the soft compound tyres, but now he's caught him and he's bringing along a whole train of cars. Look at Leo trying to go side by side with Wilder as we head down into turn 1 there. Leo has got a lot of pace. He's just at the fastest first sector 2 for good measure as he overtakes him into turn number 4. He's up into P7. He's on a great charge so far. So one Leo drops down, the other one rises up, and currently in P7 on a great charge as well. And the guys ahead of him are on a level playing field too in terms of penalties, because they've got penalties to their name, including Bompier, who's got a 6-second time penalty. But look at Leo carrying the speed into turn 10 and turn 11, but too far back to make any move into turn 12. But he's on a great charge so far, is the Romanian driver in the Alpine. Started in last place due to whatever reasons, he crashed out or invalid disqualification, but it looks like he's trying to score some decent points here tonight. Smalley Doors has done a great job so far in this race as well, and ever since those guys made their own mistakes as well, pitted at the right time, and Taupe really helped them too, because Leroy and Jewelbeam were not able to pass him as quickly as they would have wanted. In fact, it was actually Bosch Evans, and here he is up the inside, is Bompier on Bosch Evans. Couldn't quite make it stick at that time, but really get a decent exit out of turn 3 to try and use that DRS to help him and the medium compound tyres for good measure. Here we are as we go side by side on the straight, on board with Rectify's point of view, headed down into turn 4, and Bompier with the extra grip around the outside. Can he do it? Bosch Evans will try and fire as hard. Rectify out of shape there as Bompier finally gets ahead for the time being, and here comes Rectify with the inside then into turn 6 and turn 7. Makes that count, does he? Yes, he does then, and Leo might take advantage, but you don't want to overtake here. Don't go around the outside of here. It's not going to end well. That's what I thought. He should have backed out of that one, but luckily he didn't get wiped out by him or picked up a 3-second time penalty. But anyways, you can see him carrying more speed at turn 10 and turn 11, and he'll have a good run down at turn 12. And look at this, Rectify the inside of Bompier into turn 12, and Rectify's ahead. Leo makes contact with Bosch Evans, gets ahead, but that could be a legal overtake because I think he did it off the track. He gets tagged by Sweetcar, and as Bosch Evans is losing places left, right and centre, as he is essentially a roadblock and an obstacle for those people in the way. And now he's going to be hunted down by Walter, who's right behind him too. I don't see Leroy in close range of Jewelbeam as well for P2, so the battle for P2 is not done yet, but if he gets a penalty then they'll be on the same amount of penalties if Jewelbeam gets one. Sweet Crown's ahead of Bosch Evans. It's Kenny's turn, puts himself up into P8 now, does the Finnish driver. The Finnish driver been in 8th place most of this race as well, so he's had a strong race so far inside the top 10. I don't think he had a great race back at the French GP. Both McLarens fell down after they stayed out there, along with Bosch Evans too. But it looks like it's going Kenny's way in P8 there. He scored a few podiums now and then, has the Finnish driver back at the Hungarian Grand Prix last season, defending against ILT Leroy and Nathan too. But here we are then, here in the Mexican Grand Prix. 6 laps left to go in this race. The battle for P1 looks cemented for Smalley Balls, but the battle for P2 could be over yet if Jewel Beam picks up a 3-second time penalty. Just got to keep it within the right lines in the next 6 laps. Leo is all over the back of Bompier, and he'll be looking to claim P4 if he can in this race as well. From P19 to P4, but that'd be a great charge for the Romanian driver. P3 is a bit too far away. AJ is up into P9 ahead of Bosch Evans, who's struggling out there on older hard compound tyres, so his strategy unfortunately has not paid him any dividends later on. Now you can see Leo all over the back of Bob, who's momentarily outside the 1-second range of DRS. Did he get it? Yes, he did. But will Leo then try and make a move into turn 1? He's been on a great charge so far in this race. 5 laps left to go. Can he try and claim P4?
I think he might. Yeah, I think he can definitely get that done with newer tires. Should be able to do that, get that done. I was talking about the incident on lap 17 with what went wrong with Nathan, and I saw on the stream that Smalley Balls was trying to push the limit right there. May have gone into the red delta here, slammed the brakes, which caught Nathan out right there, which led to his spin into the wall there. So that might be a report after the race for Smalley Balls right there, as he did slow down on the brakes, catching Nathan out right there. So who knows, that could be a report after the race. So it might be that Joel Bream might even still take the race win here. So that's something to look out for still. So hope for Smalley Ball's sake it wasn't too bad, but yeah, Nathan's certainly gonna report that as we got yellow flags in sector 3. Probably all the cars battling together here, with the Alpine, the Williams and the Mercedes battling for P4 here. Of course it's gonna take, they're probably gonna lose position to Wouter, Kenny, AJ and probably Seep if he can close that gap a little bit still. But yeah, strong drive overall still, as the rest actually lost 2 positions now to Leo, who's gone all the way up to P4 now. A lovely overtake there from the Alpine.
Yeah, he's up into P4 is Leo, but Bompier versus Reservoir then, as Reservoir got swamped down the straight by Bompier and Leo. As we head down into turn 4 we go. Mercedes on the outside, Williams on the inside, but it'll converge now for the inside line for the Mercedes driver, who just stays ahead of Bompier there with Sweet Khan and the McLaren of Kenny, the Alfa Romeo of AJ, who's there too in the background. But that was an interesting point you say, because Smalley Balls were trying to push his delta until the green flag, but went to the red zone, had to slam on the brakes unfortunately, and Nathan reacted and spun too, so that could pay that could be costly towards the end of the race, like you said. And also in qualifying, Smalley Balls had an incident with Bosch Evans. Smalley Balls was on his this corner here where Sweet Crown's heading into, he was on the racing line, was Smalley Balls on his out lap, and Bosch Evans was on the flying lap, and they crashed together, and Sweet Crown went deep as well, so he might pick himself up a chat limit awarded there for going deep, unfortunately for him, as Kenny's all over the back of him. He has been struck in that corner too. I've noticed him going deep quite a few times in that particular part of the section. Unfortunately for Pease, down to P15 now, last week's race winner, broken his wig I think quite a few laps ago now in this race, and currently down to P15. It looks like it was a great fight between himself and Walter. Here comes Leo on Strange, and Seaman is way through Strange as well. Strange just will drop down into 12th place unfortunately, and Nathan's all over the back of him too. He's also suffered in this race as well. Pease, Tobe, Nathan as well, Resify, they've all suffered in this race. And here comes Nathan making a lunge on Strange around the outside. I say a lunge, going around the outside into turn 4, but actually Strange hangs in there. But Nathan has the inside line now, and he's on the mediums of course against Strange's old hard compound tyres. But here we are then, Strange not willing to give up, and Willie try and get back down the inside of turn 8, which is not a great place to fight, and he wisely backs out of that one and remains in P13. Hold on as best as he could, but couldn't quite make it stick, is the Tier 2 champion. Oh, he almost lost it coming out of turn 11 too. And Sieb has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. I wonder if that is 6 seconds added to his collection now as I try and look. No, it's his first penalty, so he'll lose it towards Leo. And Pete's got one too. Lap 34 out of 36. Leroy in the DRS range, a dual beam once again, but not going for a move. He's just probably waiting later on in this race to make that move or try and force him into a mistake. Here comes Kenny on Sweet Crown, and Kenny puts his McLaren into P7. Great race from the Finnish driver. Down the inside goes Reservoir. So actually, Leo is not done yet with Reservoir and Bompier. He's still there, and I thought he would have pulled away by now on those mini compound tyres, but the DRS helping out the other drivers, keeping them in contention, and Leo then has got some more work to do, more hands on his work to do. More work to do on his hands. There we go. Finally got it out in the end.
Talking is very difficult, especially for myself, so glad to be commentating alongside you, Jamie, so we share the same issues here, so anyway, focusing on the race once again, we only have 2 laps to go after Smolly Balls has crossed the line now, so the race is really coming towards the end now. Who will make a move here? It looks like Kenny is losing a bit of performance right here, nearly losing the DRS to Bumpy and Leo here, who's following Reservoir, who's made a great comeback, I must say, having spun out and being all the way at the back in P17. He's all the way managed to make his way up to P4 again, so that's an underrated performance, I must add, there from the Mercedes driver, as Leroy has got past Joel Bream here, but won't really make a difference for the result of he does have a 3-second penalty here. Yes, so but overall still a good performance there from Leroy, despite being on the controller. Still a very good performance there from the Alfa Romeo driver. Very happy to see an Alfa Romeo driver carrying in the standings here, the constructor standings, as I put in a shocking performance together with Jay Harnell, both P16 and 17. So happy to see 2 Alfa Romeos in the top 10 here.
Yeah, AJ makes contact down the inside of turn 4, just clattered the curb and went into Sweet Crown. So I think Sweet Crown left us space, but AJ was on the curb there. It was also the curb of the exit of turn 6. But yeah, Leroy, he scored his first podium in France since season 6, which was 4 seasons ago. Oh, we almost got touchy out of turn 12 there. But he's got his first podium in 4 seasons, and he could be on his way to scoring back-to-back podiums. And Leroy doesn't have to fight with Joel Bream because he's got a 3-second time penalty. You never know, Joel Bream could get one too. It could be on the verge of one, I'm not quite sure. But as we head on the main straight once again, as Bosch Evans is racking up those 3-second time penalties, we can see Joel Bream all over the back of Leroy. As we make our way down into turn 1, Joel Bream on the inside. He'll take P2 away, and that's that for the time being. We'll just wait to see. But Leroy is glad that there's no safety car coming out in this race, otherwise he might have lost the podium, but thankfully hasn't, as this has been a great race so far. Here comes AJ Sweet Crown, Leo on Reservoir. That battle hasn't ended, and AJ's overtaken Sweet Crown 2, puts himself up into P8 ahead of the Dutchman, who really has struggled for pace this race as well. Nathan is in P11 ahead of Sieb, and those two dropped down quite dramatically as well during this race after they both spun out in different circumstances in this race. But Smalley Boss, well, kept his nose clean, and I say that though, didn't keep it clean in qualifying. Pease is ahead of Chazza for P14 as we get the last lap battles going on. But here he is then, Smalley Boars has shown some fantastic pace as well here in Cone. I think he's on his way to score his first podium as well. But on top of that, he's done a phenomenal job. The fireworks going off in the background as he enters the stadium section in the Aston Martin, heading towards the penultimate corner now. He's only a few seconds away from victory. Right in the final corner now, Smalley Balls becomes the new race winner here in Cone. He wins at the Mexican Grand Prix. Fantastic job. Jewel Beam in second place. ILT Leroy, second consecutive podium. First time back-to-back podiums too. Here comes Leo. Great drive from P19 to P5 maybe, because Kenny hasn't got a penalty. As we cross the line now, as the time machine sorts themselves out, Kenny up into P4. Great drive from the Finishman there. Much needed result as well, as he struggled last season, and the season before he scored a few P4s and P3s. AJ P7, Sweet Khan 8th, Bompier 9th, Leo in P10 ahead of Nathan JB, Sieb in P12, Strange in 13th place, Pease in 14th ahead of Chazza, Tobe will finish in 16th place ahead of Bosch Evans, who continuously picking up them 3-second time penalties, must be close to disqualification as he got 24 seconds as penalties. But Yeah, Sweetcon is confirming that he had rear wing damage, so it could indicate why we saw some loss of pace in the race, because that was who is the commentator called Jamie? Someone just put in the chat.
That's a bit offensive, because there's only one commentator called Jamie here, and that's of course in the goat. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was a good drive there from Smalley Balls right there. Newest race winner, as you mentioned. So yeah, overall a good race there. Of course, there might be changed by stewards afterwards, but you never know. You never know. But for now, we will. Yeah, we will. At the moment, he's our current race winner here. So, and Kenny picking up P4 is a good result there as well. That does really show that not picking up a penalty makes a huge difference here. And Wouter, we used to see him battle for the race win here, but having got rear wing damage, bringing it home in P8 is still a very decent performance there. So yeah, overall good race. To join in.
Thank you for joining me, Steven, as well. And it was a good race as well. Glad to have you alongside me, as Bunny should be back from next week onwards, he says. And that's that then. And we've got a new race winner. Is Smalley Balls ahead of Jewel Breed. Great race indeed from those two. Leroy back-to-back podiums for the first time in CRL. Kenny, great drive from him. And also Leo from P19 to P5 as well. I didn't get time to do that, but anyways, I'm not going to do podium interviews after what happened tonight. None of you guys, it's just whatever you heard in the background. I really do apologise about that, and should not be happening. Should not happen. But yeah, it's just a shame, really. But thank you, Steve, for joining me. I think the next race, I did say it in Tier 3 about how you feeling for the next race to those guys. Oh, I actually can't remember now. Let me go check, because I should have this in memory. And you know what? I think I know what track it is next week, but I just want to make sure that I'm correct. It's gonna be, if it does load, it's gonna be. Oh yeah, Austin, of course. So I can't wait for that. I knew it was going to be USA, because I said to someone how you going to feel there, and it's a great track to go side by side in the last sector too. So we'll see you there for Tier 1 and Tier 3 on Monday and Thursday at 7:30 and 8:15 for Tier 1 and Tier 3 for the USA Grand Prix next time out in Austin, which was the pre-season race as well. I think 2 seasons ago, and China was the last season's pre-season race as well, but I can't remember which one it was here, because I wasn't there for that. But anyways, take care and goodbye. Almost turn off the PS4 then.